one of the things that's actually true in human society, has been true forever, is that there's a very small percentage of the population that struggle because their biological gender doesn't match the perception of who they think they are. And throughout history, there's been a very small percentage of people that struggle with that. And up until recently, that's been dubbed by psychologists and psychiatrists as a disorder called gender dysphoria. In other words, what's true and real, that you are biologically male or female in every cell of your body, except for a very small percentage of people, what's true doesn't match what you feel about yourself. And so there's a dysphoria here. Doesn't make sense to you. And so that's not exclusively related to gender. We know that's true for people who have the disorder of anorexia, where they literally look in the mirror and see fat when physically, in reality, they're not overweight. Okay, so that's true. We get that. Well, there is a very high rate of suicide among people that have gender dysphoria, which makes sense because when you think, like, what's real and what I feel are different, that is a big confusing issue. And some very well-meaning people have been really trying to promote a way to solve that problem by removing gender altogether and saying, really, gender is a social construct. Now, there's no question that there are parts of gender that are socially constructed, like G.I. Joe versus Barbie, right? But when it comes to biological gender, that's not socially constructed. That's actually biologically constructed, and it's scientific, and it matches reality, and it's true. But these well-meaning people who are thinking to themselves, if we could just remove the concept of gender and make gender fluid and everybody can just kind of be what they want to be, and we can start teaching it to children at a very young age so they don't grow up with these biases, if we could do that, then we would save these kids who have suicidal ideation. Seems like a good idea. But this is where that concept of blaspheming things they don't understand. You see, God says, let us make man in our image and our likeness, male and female. And that's actually what we observe in reality. Like, people are biologically, scientifically, male or female, except for a very small percentage of people, okay? And in that, rather than affirming gender, like, if you're a woman, God has given you a very special purpose. Like, you have the ability to conceive, you have the ability to incubate, you have the ability to nurse and nurture life, miracle of miracles. And God created you to be able to have that capability, and that's amazing, and that's an identity that's profound and powerful, and there are all kinds of additional characteristics that make you particularly powerful as a female. And men on the other side have also been given some abilities, and here's what's so important. Genders can't divorce themselves of each other because in God's wisdom, He created it in such a way that men and women need each other to be able to produce life, to build the next generation, to perpetuate humanity. And they come together in this profound and powerful and beautiful way. And men have something to contribute. But when you say, you know what? People aren't made in the image of God. They just biologically, somehow through a bunch of chemicals, appeared here. And so we can change it however we want to, even though factually, like if you're a scientist, factually you can't do that. But what happens? We start introducing children to confusion about reality. When a child looks in the mirror, and can tell who they are, and you say, that may be wrong. What do you feel? And then you're setting kids up to go through puberty, where everybody going through puberty has some body issues, right? And now we got a whole group of people that we're saying to them, listen, with some chemicals and some plastic surgery, we can change your appearance, and that actually changes who you are. The damage, the harm is catastrophic. And people are being praised by coming out to say they're different than what their biology says. And countries that started experimenting with this 20, 25 years ago are already having multiple young adults coming back going, what were the adults thinking when they did this to me? And that's going to happen a lot in our culture. And yet, we've got a lot of well-meaning people that think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's somehow being helpful when it actually is being harmful. Now, at the same time, we know that in the midst of all that confusion, that's painful. There are lots of people that are dealing with this, and the more it gets pushed, we're seeing the percentage of people that are dealing with this going up, 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 up. I mean, it's just climbing exponentially, particularly around young girls who tend to have a harder transition going through puberty. And it's crazy, but it's happening in a massive way. And so, we opened a support group for people that are struggling with gender dysphoria, people that feel like they're in the wrong body, for people who have kids that are feeling that way, because it's really challenging. If somebody tells you, if you don't follow this path with your child and go down the path of gender transformation, the suicide rate's going to go way up. And so now you're stuck as a parent going, well, I don't want that to happen to my kid. What am I going to do? So we started a support group, and we didn't announce it to anybody. It just word of mouth. The thing filled up. But we're committed to help people, and so if you want to go on our website, Hill Country Bible Church, HCBC, under counseling, and you're struggling with this, you're confused, it's a no condemnation, no fear, it's just come and let's try to work through this together, because it's here, it's now, and it's significant, and it's harming a lot of people. Trying to fix a problem through the logic of humanity that denies reality, denies science, denies biology, creates harm. And that's what's happening in our culture on lots of levels. That's why the truth of God is so important for human thriving and for what's best